away with it. Mr. Marino, we have you next. So you've built a very successful consultancy, Avante Solutions, which is based on customer relationship management, business intelligence, and e-commerce. As a fellow founder in the consulting space as well, I hope you would agree that access to the best fitted talents is one of the biggest challenges that you probably face as a business owner. So I'm just curious to understand what measures have you put in place to recruit more women and youth, especially those in the early stage of their careers? And most importantly, how do you retain them as well?
Okay, so in terms of measures we put in, like you said, it's never easy to find the talent. So you have to be willing to develop people. And as they grow, your business grows and they grow with your business and vice versa. So this is basically what we do. We have a lot of, I'm actually the oldest person in my company, or in our company, I should say. So everybody else is young or younger, I should say. You know, so we focus on, you know, developing people. And when we do bring in foreign expertise, which we do occasionally, you know, we tell them from the beginning that we are not just bringing you in to consume your service. We are bringing you for knowledge transfer. And if you're not comfortable with this, then you know, it will not be a great relationship. But if you're comfortable with this and you support us in enabling our people, then we will continue to have a relationship together and grow together. And this has been our strategy from day one, and it works because and it's very satisfying when you see a young person come in and then 2 years, 3 years down the line, the person is running projects and, you know, doing everything and you can relax. It's extremely satisfying. It can be painful in the beginning because, you know, there's a lot of, you shouldn't have done it this way, blah, 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 like any human sort of interaction. So it can be painful. But I think they themselves are proud to see when they develop and they'll stay because they're developing and you're trying. And also as an employer, I think it's important you try and align your company goals to the personal goals of your staff. And these are some of the things we covered during the KPIs. So what is your plan as a person? What do you want to do? Sometimes if you're open enough, they'll open up to you. And whatever you can do to support that aspiration, I think it's important because that's what will encourage young people to stay. Because at the end of the day, they also want to grow and become better than they were yesterday. So these are the strategies we use to retain and develop them and make sure we get new talents. There's two more things I wanted to just mention. I wanted to just mention about what I think it was Dr. Sidibe said about the local language thing. I think it's very critical. At one stage, I remember I met, she's late now, Professor Sophie Oluwole, and she'd said that she believes that we should start teaching technology and maths in our local languages, even in schools. And my initial reaction, you know, with a bit of a colonial mentality, I would admit, was, oh, how would you teach maths in Pythagoras theorem in Yoruba? But as I studied her more and read, I really quickly realized that I was the ignorant one, because if you look at companies or countries that are doing well in tech, like China, Germany, Italy, Japan, there's one thing they all have in common. They all have books in their language. Very simple, look at it, it's there for you to see. So I think I do support what he said, 100% about enabling our people in our own local languages. It works everywhere. So, and even here in Nigeria, you know, it's the same thing. You hear people when they're solving problems, they'll speak Yoruba or they speak Igbo, and they are creating amazing things. So speaking English doesn't have anything to do with your ability. That's another thing that we should be clear about, or French for that matter. It's just your creativity and the environment. So I really support that. And then the last thing I just wanted to sign out on is the pandemic. I know it's been sad. We've lost, even in my family, we've lost people. So there's a lot of sadness to it. However, I do believe it's a blessing in disguise for Africa. I mean, unfortunately, I couldn't be in Nigeria this week. I'll be back very soon. But look at what we're doing here. I'm on Zoom, I'm participating. And I think before the pandemic, they would have just found a replacement for me and somebody that was in country. And I wouldn't have had this opportunity. But we've all quickly adapted to the virtual world. So I think, you know, it's good for Africa. The things that the new initiative, the AFTA thing that we're doing, we are going to use technology to connect that entrepreneur in Burkina Faso to the developer in Guinea-Bissau or whatever it is. So I believe that the pandemic has a silver lining and we should grab onto it using the digital tools to enable ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So should wrap up. Yeah. So just to wrap up the conversation, and if you have any questions, you can post to the panelists afterwards due to the sake of time. Sincere apologies. We love the point on knowledge transfer. I think it's super critical, especially in this day and age. We have a number of experts coming to launch businesses on the continent, and they are also bringing their thought processes here to really empower locals, right, to actually take those skill sets and also implement their own businesses. I love, you know, the idea of how you also provide opportunities for growth and aligning the personal goals to the company goals. Right. So in essence, as a millennial, if I'm working with you, understand that there's an opportunity for me to grow. I'm actually not just going to be stagnant in my role, but I see that there's a future, right, for me to actually propel my career in the organization. I think that's powerful. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you to all our panelists. I learned a lot on this panel. And I think we will conclude here. We have 5 minutes. During the, I don't know what's the best way to use the 5 minutes, whether we should share last remarks or questions. I don't know if our panelists have some final remarks, since we're all in the conference, maybe over lunch, you can approach them for questions. I'm hoping that Mr. Marinho can also share his contact in case you have any questions for him, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or anything of that sort. So are there any final remarks that you would like to share to conclude our conversation?